welcome to my video, and I'm talking about this. So the first thing I did is the loading and cleaning transaction data. So the purpose of this function is to prepare data before analysis. Transaction files often contains formatting issues such as dollar signs, so you won't be able to see dollar signs here. I choose this separately because it turns into its own function because data cleaning is a different task from data analysis. By cleaning the data first, I can ensure that later calculations are accurate and reliable. This function reads the CSV file, convert the amount column into numeric values, removes invalid entries, and return as a data. So there's the data. The second is analyze spending patterns. The purpose of this function is to identify how the user spends their money. For example, instead of, so the function calculates total spending, groups transaction by category, and it calculates percentages, and it identifies the highest spending category. For example, instead of showing hundreds of transaction values, the system can tell the user that this amount of percentage, so 40% goes to this thing, and then 20% went to groceries. And I included the percentages because it is easier to understand, easier. It helps transform raw financial data numbers into useful information. Easier to tell. And the third one is generating financial recommendations. After analyzing spending patterns, the system uses the results to provide advice. For example, if a particular category represents a large percentage of spending, the system may recommend reducing spending in some area, in that area or a different area. The purpose of this function is to move beyond reporting information and provide practical suggestions. I choose a rule-based approach because it is simple, reliable, and easy to explain. The recommendations are based directly on the user spending data. And look at this. So it's basically telling us, all of this thing. This makes finance assistance more helpful or useful because it helps users understand how they might improve their financial habits. This wasn't working just now. I had to do this. Gemini. So finance chat personality. The chatbot is designed to communicate in a friendly, supportive way instead of just talking about finance topics. Its purpose is to interact with the users. Users can ask questions about budgeting, spending habits, or saving money, and the chatbot responds in a financial advisor style. I included this feature because the assignment needed it. It's required. The assignment required a chat component, as well as the saving calculator tool on the bottom. The same thing. I think this is more important than the last one. This was implemented as a custom tool required by the assignment. So the calculator takes a saving goal, current savings and time frame, then calculates how much money must be saved each month to reach the goal. The purpose of this tool is to help user plan future financial goals. I selected this tool because it is practical, easy to understand, and directly related to personal finances. And the creating saving calculator tool, this is the thing I typed in. So the current saving 1,000, monthly contribution 500. It tells me how long I need to save 5,000. And creating a finance assistant. So this is the one I created. it works. Hopefully it works. Yep. Yep. So if I want my current savings, like 500 monthly contribution is $55. Like 100K. Ooh, yep. I need 1,790 a month to reach my saving goals, which is pretty long. Did some tests on my so I had to test, and yep, I don't know. This is clean successfully loaded, test passed, testing spending analysis, all tests passed, and yeah, I think that's it for my. I think that's it for my Oh yeah, I don't know what that is. So the functions I'm least satisfied with is probably this one, because while it still works um while it still works and it performs multiple responsibilities, uh, and I think it provides too much information. I sometimes like, because it calculates totals, it calculates percentage, it identifies top spending categories, generates insights, and formats the final reports. This makes the function longer and harder to maintain compared to my other functions. I don't know why. Like it'll sometimes work and sometimes not, and I have to keep Geminiing it for it to work. And if I were to refactor it, I would split it into small sections, maybe make it two or three. For example, one function would calculate spending totals, and the other one would do percentage and stuff. So it's easier to test it, and it doesn't like go error or go wrong that easily. I would also reduce some repeated loops and calculations by storing intermediate results more efficiently. So this would make the code a little bit easier instead of making it so hard in a single function. However, I choose to leave it in as it is because the current version is a fully functional code. It's still functioning, it's still working, so it's fine. But yeah, it's too big. It goes on error too easily, and too much information. I would make it like this one of this, and one of this, instead of like all three of them in one function. In yeah. Um, Second one, choose one of your key functions or method. Show us. Same thing. Even though this is really hard and one of my least favorite, it's also one of the most good ones out there, because its purpose is to process clean transactions data and identify spending behaviors and stuff. The functions returns a dictionary containing analysis results. These results include total spending, everything. The first function calculates total spending and positive. So the first function calculates the total spending. Positive spending is separated from refunds because refunds appears as negative values and would distort spending percentages. Next, the function group transactions by category and calculates how much money was spent in each category. Just this one. And then it calculates percentages, so the users can easily see which categories consumes the largest share of their spending. After that, the function identifies the highest spending categories and generate easy financial insights based on the results. Finally, it creates a formatted report that can be displayed to the user. So the contribution to this is pretty big, because this is the core of the project. I'm pretty sure this single one out of the 4 or 5. It because there's most of the other features depends on this. The recommendation function uses its results to generate financial advices, and the user interface displays the report produced by this function. Without this analysis step, the assistant would only have raw transaction data and would not be able to provide meaningful insight. I structured the function so that all spending analysis is performed in one place. This makes it easier to call from other parts of the program and ensure all calculations are based on the same data. Whoops. Well, I don't know what I did there. Anyways, what was the most difficult technical problems you solved in this project? Um, Maybe cleaning messy financial data, handling the dollar signs and stuff. This one, because I didn't understand anything at the start. Like I didn't know you can't put dollar signs and stuff, and the bank transaction data is not clean by default and stuff. ChatGPT did give me like a code to use, but it just kept not working. So I had to just keep experimenting and stuff. So the experiment is like I first remove symbols like dollar signs because they make the values. It's like because it makes the value strings instead of numbers, and I converted the clean values into numeric formats using PD to numeric, which allows mathematical operations. And third, I handled missing or invalid values by removing them so they would not break. This was very challenging because it's very inconsistent, I would say. The program would crash or produce incorrect results if I tried to calculate totals without cleaning the data properly. For example, without the cleaning data values like the dollar sign 4550, it would be treated as a text instead of a number. So my value, my solution worked because it ensures all values in the amount column, like no invalid symbols. This allows the rest of the system, like spending analysis and recommendations, to work correctly without error. Yeah, so for me, the hardest part was making messy real world CSV financial data usable by cleaning and converting it into proper numeric values so that the rest of the analysis could work correctly. And it's also the first one that I had to do, and I didn't understand. Like, and ChatGPT wouldn't explain it properly, so I had to kept going back to Gemini or experimenting it for it to work. That's it.